uncovering the many treasures of Puebla, Mexico. And perhaps none of those treasures stand as tall as the breathtaking Pyramid of Cholula. Built over 2,000 years ago, this site boasts as the largest base pyramid in the world.
For ages, it seemed to be just a peaceful rise in the middle of Mexico, a hill with a chapel on top. However, beneath it, hidden in plain sight, is the biggest pyramid on Earth. The globe is now in awe of what scientists have discovered inside.
So the archaeologists actually built these tunnels in the pyramid.
That's right.
How much of the pyramid has actually been discovered?
Maybe 20%.
That's it.
Hidden rooms, old tunnels, and findings that cast doubt on history's fundamental premises. What has been dormant for thousands of years is waking up again. And what they discovered beneath Cholula has the potential to change not just how we perceive the past, but also how we view society in general. The hill that did not exist. The people of Cholula thought they lived next to a hill that was touched by heaven for over 4 centuries. Softly rising over the Puebla, Mexico, plains, it appeared innocuous, just another grassy mound topped by the Iglesia de Nuestra Señora de los Remedios, a tiny colonial church. Locals referred to it as the Little Hill, or El Cerrito, but there was no ground beneath that church, neither chance nor rock. It was the biggest pyramid in the world, so big that it could double the size of the Great Pyramid of Giza. Nature wasn't responsible for the deception. It was intentional. As the Spanish conquistadors ravaged the Americas in the early 15th century, they demolished idols and temples wherever they came upon them. They claimed that the indigenous gods had no place in Christ's dominion. However, Hernán Cortés and his troops were hesitant when they arrived in Cholula in 1519. A monument unlike any they had ever seen stood here. A mountain that wasn't a mountain was spotted. They discovered chiseled stone, painted stairways, and odd tunnels that led into the ground beneath the plants. Later, colonial records state that they discovered this hill was actually a pyramid of enormous size, much bigger than anything seen in Egypt. They were afraid since they didn't understand it. According to the tales, the Spanish priests who went with the conquistadors may have visited a portion of the pyramid's interior before closing it up once more. They said that what they discovered there went against everything the church held to be true concerning the origins of the world. They used 2 blasphemous terms in their letters, which are now lost or obscured in archives, to describe chambers of wind and fire and machines of the heavens for printing. Therefore, they chose to make the pyramid invisible rather than demolishing it. The decision to bury the pagan monument under faith itself was decided by the Spanish colonial rulers in 1594, which went against their custom of destruction. They disguised the pyramid as a naturally occurring hill by ordering the slopes to be covered with grass and soil. They erected the vivid yellow church that remains today on its peak, a gleaming Christian crown on top of an old indigenous body. The tale of the hill became canonical after that. The hoax totally deceived the outer world. Travelers and missionaries could see the church, but they only ever asked about the structure above it. As the generations passed, the Cholula Pyramid was obscured by layers of shame, vegetation, and myth. However, a few Nahua and Mixtec descendants who lived nearby recalled it and shared the stories, which were very subtly depicted as the gods resting beneath the church's foundation, breathing tubes and underground chambers. They below said that on several nights of the year, the lit-up earth was vibrating. Few people have the courage to give it a try. The academic community began to speculate about the hill's man-made origin in the late 19th century. In fact, the archaeologists discovered pottery and stone shards, in addition to soil during an unplanned excavation to get ready to irrigate. The truth didn't finally push the dirt away until 1931, when Ignacio Marquina, a Mexican archaeologist, went to investigate the region for the first time. He discovered that there was a hollow earth, and that his instruments had not returned any data. Marquina discovered what the Spaniards had concealed, a pyramid that was 66 meters high and about 450 meters on each side. larger by volume than any other man-made building on Earth. It was a shocking discovery for historians. For many years, the people were unaware of the massive monument that existed prior to the arrival of Christ because of the pyramid's intransigence, which allowed them to walk across it and prey richly on its peak. For what reason did the conquistadors conceal it? To suppress a truth that went against their worldview? Or to eradicate a civilization they believed to be more developed than their own? Or, according to certain local legends, they may have imprisoned something they couldn't manage. In any event, one thing was certain. The hill had never been a hill. It was a mystery, one that had been awaiting the solution for 2 millennia. And what archaeologists discovered when they eventually unlocked its stone veins contradicted all we believed that we were familiar with the ancient world. A structure constructed from civilizations. Ignacio Marquina, an archaeologist, anticipated discovering one buried temple when he started digging the enormous mound of Cholula in the 1930s. Instead, he discovered a monument constructed like time itself, with each civilization building upon the one before it and leaving its own unique splendor in its wake. Cholula's Great Pyramid was not a single construction. It was a structure that had developed over almost a millennium, a stack of worlds. Tlaquehualtepetl, or artificial mountain in Nahuatl, was the original pyramid at its core. It was probably built by the Olmec Xicalanga in 300 BCE. Built of volcanic stone and adobe, it was more of an alignment tool than a temple of power. Centuries before written calendars were invented, its axis was calibrated to the rising sun at the equinox, acting as a cosmic clock. However, time continued to accumulate. The Zapotec, Mixtec, Toltec, and Aztec civilizations all saw something sacred in Cholula, and came and went. None ruined the previous one. Rather, they constructed on top of it, encasing older pyramids in more recent shells. Like a developing creature, the structure grew layer by layer, with each stage maintaining rather than destroying the previous. Cholula evolved as a geological record of human striving as well as a religious artifact. Like arteries, Marquina's tunnels pierced that past. Deeper still was the smooth ochre adobe of pre-classical architects, while the outside walls had the red clay and angular craftsmanship of the late Mixtec period. From stone blocks arranged with almost mathematical accuracy to sun-dried bricks, each layer displayed a unique intellect. The scale exceeded comprehension. It was the largest pyramid on Earth. With a base that was 450 meters long on each side, a height of 66 meters, and more than 4.4 million cubic meters of material. By volume, human hands shaped and carried it all. For what reason would such an attempt be justified? Archaeologists discovered murals depicting serpents, maize, and celestial fire, stairs leading to the solstice sun, and altars arranged in line with the constellations among the Earth's layers. This location was a universal map rather than a tomb. It was a tangible representation of the ancient society's comprehension of the cycles of life, death, and rebirth. Along with the destruction of ancient temples and rites, Mesoamerican civilizations also continued to learn about astronomy. The orbit of Venus served as the basis for new alignments made by the Toltecs. Following the creation of a new Quetzalcoatl deity by the Aztecs, centuries later, they rededicated the pyramid to the feathered serpent, the god of wisdom and resurrection. They believed that giants, who have the ability to make mountains mirror the sky, were responsible for Cholula. In 1519, heresy was discovered by the Spaniards in the very Temple of Knowledge. The Indians would be incensed if it were destroyed, and its burial would erase its significance. They then decided to use the concealment tactic. A church was built on top of the pyramid to sanctify its quiet, after it had been buried for centuries under soil. Despite being concealed beneath that mound of trust, the archive persisted. Its accuracy continues to astound engineers today. It has been able to withstand earthquakes and floods with minimal damage because it was constructed without the use of any binding agents or metallic components. The pyramid's layer-based core remains stable, as though it were truly designed to outlast the civilizations that built it. According to some, the Pyramid of Cholula is the most fascinating and archaeologically rich place in the Americas. Every culture that has ever lived there has contributed to the development of a new culture, including art, science, and religion, all of which gradually merged into a single, continuous history. The pyramid's subterranean heart, a labyrinth of tunnels that appeared to reflect the stars themselves, was what really made it unique, not just its grandeur or beauty. The Earth's underside labyrinth. Ignacio Marquina, an archaeologist, anticipated layers of construction rather than discovery when he started excavating in the center of Cholula. Rather, he discovered a world beneath the world, a huge network of prehistoric corridors carved through volcanic stone and mud brick with surgical accuracy. Although radar scans indicate that this is only a small portion of what is beneath the Great Pyramid, more than 8 kilometers of tunnels have been identified so far. These weren't routes used for excavation. They had been there all along. The pyramid's underground construction was evident from the beginning. Deliberate geometry was used in every shaft, hallway, and room. The overall layout appeared mathematical rather than architectural. Some of the tunnels crossed diagonally beneath the center to connect secret rooms in perfect symmetry, while others spread outward like veins, heading east toward sunrise and west into shadow. When the pattern was plotted on a map, it showed an incredible fact. The tunnels matched the constellations. During significant astronomical events thousands of years ago, their intersections matched the positions of Venus, the Pleiades, and Orion. Not only had the builders erected a pyramid, but they had also recreated the Earth's interior. This was the solidification of cosmology. The air within was heavy and still. With every stride, the walls spoke as they glistened with dampness. As they moved on, Marquina's crew observed that the tunnels gently curved, bending at precise angles that appeared to channel sound and air. A single whisper may travel through several chambers before returning amplified and warped, giving the impression that it originated in the Earth. Acoustic experts later confirmed that human activity was the cause of these effects. There was resonance in the tunnels. When human voices were the source, the frequencies changed to match. At Chichen Itza, clapping in some chambers produced echoes that resembled the call of the sacred Quetzal bird. In other rooms, whispers were transformed into thunder. The pyramid had a live intention that was both structural and acoustic. They gained a deeper comprehension of the system with each layer they removed. After 2 millennia, the water systems that had previously flowed through the region were still operational. The enormous dome-shaped chambers were controlling the air pressure to prevent collapse. For centuries, it slept beneath the earth, a secret too big to destroy and too powerful to forget. The Great Pyramid of Cholula, the mountain that was never a mountain.